What's up, everybody? What's up, everybody? Assalamu alaikum, my brothers and sisters. Thanks for joining me today for a Revert Q&A. So, my last video, I did my Revert story, answered a couple questions, but I got more. So today we're going to be going through like 5 of them, and then there's going to be more in another video later on. But let's get right into it. First question, what misconceptions did you have about Islam before converting? So, it was all bad things. Like, the things that the media showed, like, okay, so I live in America, and Islam is never portrayed in a good light. Like, Muslims and Islam are demonized, like, at every turn, and it wasn't good things. I didn't think good of Islam until I looked into it. So when I started looking into it, I saw inconsistencies between what was portrayed in the media and what was being told to me versus what I'm finding out like from this information that I'm uncovering. So yeah, there were a lot of misconceptions going into it. That leads me to the second question. How did you learn about Islam? So since it was always portrayed in a bad way, like I was curious and I wanted to learn about it. Like, you know, what is this religion of Islam? So when did I learn about Islam? The first time I even heard of it really was after September 11th. I was in second grade. I was in seventh grade. I was in seventh grade when 9/11 happened. And before then, I never really interacted with any Muslims. I didn't interact with Muslims. I didn't know anything about Islam. Like, my family was Christian. I went to a Catholic school. I didn't go to school or associate with any Muslims. So I didn't know anything until, like I said, that happened on the 11th of September. And then it was like, oh, you're hearing all these bad things about Islam and Muslims in general. So that really got me curious about, like, you know, what are the beliefs of Muslims? What is this religion of Islam? And if you watch my previous video, my Revert story, I said my Shahada for the first time in 2005. Like, after doing some research about what Islam was. And if you didn't watch it, I said it in 2005, but I went off course and I didn't end up embracing Islam until 2021. But literally, like 20 years after I started looking into this, after this 2001, be 2021. So yeah, 20 years later, I ended up embracing Islam. Alhamdulillah. But how did I learn about it? That's when the religion of Islam finally came into my life, was around that time, September 11th, 2001. So that's when it was introduced to me. But after losing my way and stuff, like, I really started researching it in like 2020, maybe the end of 2019. How did I learn about it though? It was websites. It was YouTube videos. Mostly that. Like websites and YouTube videos. There were 2 apps specifically that helped me during my process of converting to Islam. And that was Step by Step Salah and Muslim Pro. Step by Step Salah, that was one of the biggest challenges. Is that one of the questions? Like, yeah, it's going to be leading me into my next question. But one of the biggest challenges was like learning how to pray. And that Step by Step Salah app that I downloaded really helped, because it would literally take you step by step what you need to say, what motions you need to do, and how to perform Salah. So that was helpful. And Muslim Pro has the Quran on it. So I could read Quran on Muslim Pro and I could track my Salah every day. So those are 2 apps that really helped me. But most of my information that I garnered, was through YouTube videos and websites. Next question. What was the most challenging aspect of becoming Muslim? So again, that's going to be, for me, trying to do it all by myself. Like, if you had the privilege of growing up in a Muslim family, you had your parents, your grandparents, your community around you to teach you the right ways. Like, I had to go about this by myself. Like I said, coming from a Christian family and just like losing my way, and like my Christian family isn't even like super Christian. They're Christian in name, like they celebrate Christmas and Easter, but they don't go to church. They're not really religious people. So when it came to learning Islam, like it was challenging because I felt like it was all on me. I didn't know where to start. And I didn't end up going to the masjid for the first time until like I was already Muslim for a year and a half. I was reading my 5 salah every day for like a year and a half before I even went to the masjid for the first time. So, like looking back on it, the biggest like recommendation I can make for reverts would be to head to your local masjid, talk to the imam, see if you have any questions, he'll be able to answer that for you like directly what you're asking. Because when you try and find it online, you're going to see a bunch of different resources, maybe with a bunch of different opinions. But having somebody that's going to be able to answer every single question that you have and how it relates to your life, it's best just to go talk to somebody who knows more than you. And the biggest challenge was really trying to do it myself, trying to learn Salah, not knowing if I'm doing it right or not. And like, yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, I didn't know if I was doing it right, but I followed that step by step Salah, and that seemed to help me. And when I did go to the masjid for the first time, I saw what everybody else was doing. And that's where, I could take what I learned and how I was doing it versus what everybody else is doing and say, okay, I'm on the right track, or they do that a little bit differently. And then I could research like what these differences are and how much of a difference it ends up being at the end of the day. So if that makes any sense. But the most challenging part was definitely learning Salah and trying to learn all these things by myself. Ramadan, like my first Ramadan, I was like nervous about it, but I ended up getting through it without too much trouble. But I'd say the most challenging aspect would just be like learning the processes and everything. So that's what it was for me anyway. Did your family support your decision? So I haven't really talked to my extended family about me embracing Islam, but I got 2 brothers and I got parents. So the first one I told was my mom, because she's supportive of most of the things that I do. So when I talked to her, it was probably about a couple months after I reverted to Islam. So when she found out, she was not taken aback at all. Like, she's just like, okay, like, like it wasn't even really a big thing at all. She was fine with it. Pardon me. Yeah, she was fine with it. She didn't give me any problems. She's happy for me that I'm making better choices in my life. So that's how my mom took it. Next, my brothers, like, they didn't give me any problems either. Like, they're just happy that I'm making better decisions too from where I was at. But when it comes to my dad, I know he'd be skeptical about it. I didn't tell him until, I don't know, maybe 6 months ago or something like that. Like, I was Muslim for a good couple years, like 2.5 years before I told him. But I know he made a comment like, oh, I know you don't believe in Jesus or something like that. And I'm thinking like, yes, I do. That's a total misconception right there, because Jesus is in the Quran. We do believe in Jesus. He's one of the top prophets in Islam. Like, but most people wouldn't know that. Like, that's not something that is put out there in the media or really talked about amongst like non-Muslims. So I'm like, yeah, I do. I totally believe in Jesus. I don't believe Jesus is God, but I do believe in Jesus. He's one of the top prophets, and he's Messiah. We totally believe in Jesus. But anyway, Besides that little one-off comment, he didn't really give me any shit either. Pardon me. Yeah, that's one of my that's one of my problem areas. I'm trying not to cuss. I cuss like a sailor. That's something that I'm working on, like trying to be like totally trying to say things without cussing. Because I don't need to cuss, but just sometimes it comes through. So, pardon me for that. Um, I guess that would be one of the more challenging aspects of becoming Muslim too, because like I said, I used to cuss really really bad, and I still it's a work in progress, man. I'll tell you that. But yeah, like my family overall, they've been supportive. Like even my dad, like he didn't really. I explained stuff to him, and he didn't give me any crap. So I think they all want the best for me. Allah blessed me with a good family that way. So, alhamdulillah. Um, do you feel like you have to prove you are a real Muslim? This is gonna be the last question for today. Um, yes and no. Like so as somebody who's not like visually, blatantly, apparently Muslim, like if you look Muslim, even if you might be a Christian, but if you look like a Muslim, people are just gonna assume that you're Muslim. But if you don't look the part per se, like I'm not wearing a thobe, um, uh, you know, don't have a keffiyeh or anything. So like, do I have to prove it? Like, I guess yes and no. It really depends. Like, this is something that's my relationship with Allah is between me and Allah. So, subhanahu wa ta'ala. But it's not really anybody else's business. But, that's what it is. Like, you foster that relationship with God for yourself, with yourself. You know what I mean? That's between you and God. It's what everybody else thinks. It doesn't really even matter. Who cares what they think? But you have to prove it. Like, people are gonna make their own assumptions about you. Like, whatever people. I'm not a mind reader. I don't know what people think, but I know like people are gonna think whatever they're gonna think. Are they gonna say something and be rude to you? Maybe, maybe not. Different people do. Different people don't. Like, um, do I have to prove it? Like, I'm trying my best, man. Like, I don't really even know how to answer that. Like, I feel like it's both. Like, I feel like there's certain people that just aren't gonna trust. Like, okay, you said your shahada, you say that you're praying, then you have to prove it. Like, I don't need to prove anything to any of these people, whoever might be saying that. And I don't feel like I need to, but it's like both. It's like hard to explain whether I feel like I need to prove it or not. But like I know I'll be tested. This whole life is a test, but like Allah is not just going to say take. Allah knows. Allah knows what's in your heart, your niyyah, your intention. So when it comes to what everybody else thinks, who cares? Like just putting it bluntly, who cares? Like so yeah, I mean, people are gonna if you're a revert or if you're thinking about reverting to Islam, there's gonna be people that are suspicious. They're gonna be people that say whatever they want to say about you, but don't focus on them. Focus on your relationship with your Maker, and that's all I gotta say about that. You know, if you're even considering reverting to Islam, or if you're even looking into Islam anyway, Allah led you that far. Allah led you to it. He wants you to talk to him. So he wants you to pray to him. That's literally the point of life. So don't let any naysayers sway you. You foster your relationship with God and don't worry about that. Yeah, I guess, that being said, that's the last question I got for today. Thanks for hanging with me this far, and I'll catch you in the next one.